Sorry, it took forever to get online, so... And the sun's all over there.
Nobody watching you.
I know. Hi! Finally, sorry it took us so long to get online. We were going through a really bad service area. I think we're good now, though. So, thanks for joining us, guys. You guys are awesome. We're gonna wait about 10 minutes now. Just so everybody can get here, so everybody can see that the link's been posted. Just a few disclaimers before we actually get started. I'm not from the official Shadowhunters. I'm not in any way officially involved, affiliated, that's what I was looking for. I'm not in any way officially affiliated with the Shadowhunters show. I am a fan page. Shadowhunters chat, the Best Moral Instruments quotes, those are both fan pages of mine, and both Shadowhunters chat is my sister's. And the information I've got today for you, I'm going to do a more extensive post tomorrow about the Downworlders in the Shadowhunters television show. Today we're just kind of doing a little bit of a beginner's thing and like introducing you to a couple of the characters, but I don't have the sides with me right now. I don't have the bits of the script I've read. So I'm doing a lot of this off of memory of scripts I haven't read in a long time. So like for Magnus's, it's been like a month. Or actually, I read it last week. I reread it last week. But we are going to be talking about things that I don't remember. Please remember, if you're watching this is very spoilery. Things could be changed for the final show. Some of the scripts I read were from very, very early drafts of the scripts, and the actual lines and scenes could have been changed. But what I'm talking to you today is a lot about the characterization when certain characters come in the show, like what episode they're introduced in, what episode they were cast for. And all of what I'm telling you today is based on Shadowhunters audition sites, which is they're bits of scripts sent out by casting directors. I found them on a website called showfacts.com. And I paid so much money for them, but you know what? I don't even care about it at this point. You know, you're gonna find out eventually is the thing. And I love being able to share what I know with you guys. And I love that you guys care enough to watch this when I totally forgot. Also, thank you to the like 3 or 4 people who messaged me asking where it was. I totally forgot it was Saturday. It's been a whirlwind trip this week. So today we're talking about Downworlders and Shadowhunters. We're talking about some of the characters we're talking about. I'm sorry, the sun is in my eyes. Magnus Bane, of course, everybody loves Magnus. We're going to be talking a little bit about Malik, a little bit. Yes, I think so. We're going to be talking about Malik a little bit. We have another Shadowhunter spoiler Saturday next week about the Mundanes, the rest of the characters in Shadowhunters, and the week after we have a special Shadowhunter Saturday about all of the we have a special Shadowhunter spoiler Saturday about all of the ships: Clace, Malik, Isabel, and Simon. Sizzy, I don't know why I said that, but I am talking about Raphael. I'll get to him. Camille, Dot, who is based on Dorothea from the books. Meliorn. Oh, there's Quantico. Awesome. Sorry, we're in the car and I keep getting distracted. Meliorn, Dot, Magnus, Luke. We're talking about Luke. We're talking about a new character they brought into the show, a new werewolf character that they brought into the show that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about. We're going to be talking about Alaric, a couple of other smaller characters they brought in from the books that aren't really mentioned a lot in the sides. They didn't have their own character audition sides, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about them, what they're like. Talk a little bit about some of the changes I've seen in the audition sides. And I just really hope you guys like it. So we're going to give stragglers a few more minutes. If you've got friends who might want to see this, send it to them. But I do have ground rules, as always, with the other Shadowhunter spoiler Saturdays. Make sure you don't spoil anything for someone who doesn't want to be spoiled. It's very, very tedious keeping spoilers, not off the internet, but away from people who just don't want to see them. Some people just really want to be surprised with Shadowhunters. So please respect other people's privacy and other people's wishes. Please don't spoil things. Tag all your spoilers on Tumblr. Just make sure you don't spoil anything for anybody. Also, please try to remember that some of this stuff is from early drafts. It could have been changed. These characters all did get cast, but they could be different. So, for anybody just joining us, no problem. This is fun for us. We're making a drive from Washington, D.C. to Georgia, so it's a long drive. This is fun for both of us. Say hi. Say hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
That's Mary Beth. She's from Shadowhunters Chat and Pretty Little Liars Chat. When she runs Shadowhunters Chat, when the show finally premieres, she's going to be running live tweet every week. Every new episode, she's going to be live tweeting right alongside you guys, and that's going to be so exciting. She currently does it for 2 other ABC Family shows called Pretty Little Liars and Stitchers, and you can find those links on Shadowhunters. I think you can find them on Shadowhunters Chat.
Yes, you can.
Hi. So for those who are just tuning in, we're going to be talking about the Downworlders and Shadowhunters. We're going to be talking about a couple of the different changes they made to the Downworlders, a couple of the things that they're adding to the show, including, yes, I saw a question earlier, yes, there are new characters that they're introducing. I talked about Lydia Brandwell last week, and she's a new character, and there is a new werewolf character that I'm going to be talking to you about. He comes in episode 5, but we haven't gotten to him just yet. We're going to start with Magnus and Luke, and episodes that are characters who come in the pilot episode, and then we're just going to keep going and get to Raphael, Camille, Melior, other Downworlders who are introduced in the episode sides I've read. They've cast up through episode 8, so they're filming episode 7 right now, so a lot of what I talked to you about has already been filmed. Yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and start. I hope you guys are ready for this. I hope you guys send in your questions as we're going through, and I'll try to answer them. So, first question, do you guys want to start with Luke or Magnus? Because I was thinking Magnus, but I don't know if you guys want Luke or Magnus first. I do know the show is going to premiere early 2016. They haven't released an official date yet. It's just early 2016. Okay, it looks like we're starting with Magnus. Unanimously, look at that.
Nice.
Okay, so we're starting with Magnus Bane. Awesome. So we're going to start with Magnus Bane in the show. Magnus in the books, is very... How old is he in the books? He's hundreds of years old in the books. And he is in the show, but with the show, he's introduced in the pilot episode, of course, but I think he's in the pilot episode, but he's not in it a lot. He doesn't have a lot of lines in the pilot. A lot of it in the pilot is flashbacks to when he started taking away Clary's memories. That is a flashback. That's like one of the first scenes in the show is flashbacks to Jocelyn taking Clary to Magnus. He's also in Pandemonium. I heard a rumor that he actually owns and runs Pandemonium, which is really interesting, and I think it fits with what I've read in the script, so that's a high possibility that he runs. Malik I don't know if it's in the first episode. I haven't seen any of it, but that's because they were very, very careful to keep the Pandemonium scene out of the sides. I've read 90% of the rest of the pilot episode, but Act 3, which is right after the second commercial break, in between second and third commercial breaks, is like all of the Pandemonium scene, and that has been kept specifically out of the side. So I have no idea what happens in the Pandemonium scene. I don't know if Magnus and Alec meet there. I know there's Malik in episode 4. Episode 4 is Magnus's big introduction episode. You see him before that, but his big introduction episode where he gets to know some of the Shadowhunters, where he really meets Clary again, after they've gone to the City of Bones, is episode 4, and there is Malik in that episode. It's really adorable. Like the scene is Magnus is trying to get everybody. Okay, I should probably explain this because I'm seeing this question. Magnus's party per se is not in the show, as far as I can tell. Episode 4, Valentine is after Magnus because he knows Magnus can wake Jocelyn up from the potion she's taken. So he is in hiding with a bunch of other warlocks that are hiding from Valentine. So I don't know if Simon turns into a rat. I really actually would like to know that. I don't think so because Simon getting kidnapped by the vampires at the end of episode 2 and the plot line of episode 3. So it's before that episode. So I don't think he gets turned into a rat on the show. Sorry, I really wish he was, but that's something I can't control, and that would also be really heavy on the computer special effects people. Episode 4 is really Magnus hiding out from Valentine, Valentine attacking him, killing one of his closest friends, and sorry. And there is a scene where they're all trying to get out of the apartment and get somewhere safer, and Magnus just turns and in the general direction of the Shadowhunters says, "Okay, hot one." Oh, or no, he goes, "Okay, pretty boy, get your team together." And Jay says, "It's okay, I know what to do." And he goes, "Oh, I wasn't talking to you." And he points out and he goes, "I was talking to you." And it's a really, really cute moment. That is definitely like the early stages of Malik. You see a lot of Malik later in the episode. So, Magnus's character in the show is a little bit darker. Than his character in the book. He's a little bit more flamboyant in the books, which, I mean, he's crazy and flamboyant in the show too. Like when they're introducing you to the character in the beginning of episode 4, Hodge is introducing Clary and Jace and Isabel and Alec to who Magnus really is. And they're going through pictures of him on like party boats, DJing at Pandemonium, doing all this crazy stuff. And of course, always surrounded by pretty men and women. And it's hilarious and adorable. Dang. And it's really funny that he's been a little bit more modernized. I think that's the thing across the board. A lot of the immortal characters, like it happened with Camille and Raphael, that they seem a little bit more okay and like not out of place in modern times. Raphael's really sassy and cute, and it's funny. He has a really funny scene with Simon, a funny scene with Camille. Raphael is has a very dry sarcasm, and I love his character in the show. Camille is, and of course she's my personal favorite because that's my admin name. Camille comes in episode 3, and she's very manipulative. It's very interesting to me how they've brought Camille to the screen, and she's very much the same Camille from the books. But there's also different. I don't think it's a bad change. I think that they've just kind of modernized them so that they're not so really hard to listen to, and they're easier to watch on the screen. I'm sorry, there's a lot of questions coming in, so I'm trying to pick them out. I'll talk about Clace because neither of them are Downworlders. I will talk about what I read about them because their sides were very involved with each other. I will talk about them next week when I talk about Mundanes, because Clary is a Mundane at the beginning of the show. So I'll talk about Clary next week, and I'll talk about Clace the week after next when I talk about the ships. Okay, I missed a couple of the questions, so if you could resend in your questions, I'll try and do. Valentine has a much bigger role in the show. I mean, he's pretty big in the books. I mean, he's the main villain. The thing in the show is that everybody, it's not just Valentine trying to get the Mortal Cup. Camille Belcourt is trying to get the Mortal Cup. Meliorn is. Raphael is. All of these Downworlders, including the new werewolf Theo, all of these Downworlders are trying to get the Mortal Cup with the idea that whoever controls the Mortal Cup controls the Shadowhunters. They can hold the cup for ransom, or they can destroy it. I I don't know about Raphael's sexuality in the show. I mean, they didn't really explore it. I don't know that he's ever going to have a girlfriend or anything. I mean, it's just not mentioned. I don't think it's important to his character at the beginning. He could be asexual, but it's not something they mention in the sides, and it's not something they really even talk about anywhere in the scripts that he's involved in. Sorry. Maureen is in the show, but I'll talk about her next week, because she's a mundane in the show. She's a mundane just like she is at the beginning of the Mortal Instruments. The Shadowhunters series is not taking place in 2007. It's taking place in modern times, which is also a thing that that's also a reason they've added some technology to the show. For instance, the Shadowhunters use, like iPads and tablets, and the Institute is really, really, technologically friendly. So, it definitely is 2015. It's now. As far as I know, they're having all the runes. As far as I know, because I've seen them drawing them on. I've seen in the Clace script, which I'll talk about that more later. He does draw a rune on her at one point. But I'll talk about that stuff later. I keep getting off track. I was talking about Magnus at some point. I saw the question, where did I read the quotes? Anytime I directly quote something from the show, it's from the audition sides. That was in Magnus's audition sides. It's from episode 4, but it was from his audition sides for the pilot episode. So, Luke being a cop instead of owning the bookstore, I don't think it changes his character. It changes his character a little bit, but it's not for the worse to me. It gives a new dynamic to his character. When you meet him, he's investigating demonic murders that, because he's from the Shadow World and the rest of his department isn't, with the exception of Alaric, he's investigating these murders, and he's having to tell his captain, yeah, we're looking into a couple leads. Meanwhile, him and Alaric are looking into it from a Downworlders point of view, looking for actual demons and trying to figure out what's going on. So, honestly, it does have, it gives a new element to his character, besides the fact that we get Captain Vargas, who I'll talk about next week, who's Luke's boss for the... I can't say that. Not yet. Who's Luke's boss at the beginning of the show. She's very interesting. I love her character. And at one point, it's funny, one of the first scenes you see Luke in, he's wrapping a present for Clary's 18th birthday, which is when Clary goes to Pandemonium in the show. And he's wrapping a present, and she's like, you're already acting like a dad to her. You love Jocelyn. Why are you waiting? Why aren't you marrying her? And it's actually just the funniest thing to watch him get flustered. Luke in the show is a little bit darker than him in the books. He's got a much more, his character is just a lot more serious, I think, and you do see, like, scenes from the book, like the scene from where he's tortured or interrogated at the bookstore, in the books, is in the police station in the show, so they just moved it, basically. And, I mean, it really doesn't change anything about the storyline it doesn't change anything, really, about Luke's story, at all. I'm trying to think. It actually adds a couple of really cool scenes that I saw from his sides. Like, Clary showing up after her mom's been taken, after going through the portal, which is a very different, it's very different sequence of events. If you want to read about that, you can check out my first Shadowhunters Saturday, where I talked about, like, the events after Jocelyn gets kidnapped. But Luke in the show, he's very... I don't know how to describe him. The being a police officer really doesn't change anything as much as it adds some stuff. And it just adds a little bit to his characterization. It doesn't really add or take away from anything. Shadowhunters is based on the entire series, and the thing, Cassie's made it very clear that it's not a book an episode, or a book a season. So, like, because they're trying to make it, turning a book into a TV show is very, very different from turning it into a movie. You have to change a lot of stuff. You have to have a plot for each episode. You have to have multiple villains. So with Shadowhunters, what they've done with bringing Meliorn in and Camille in so early is that's just somebody else they have to fight besides Valentine to keep the Mortal Cup from falling into the wrong hands. Let's see, I think that's about all I can say about Luke, really. I forgot to mention, Alaric, his second in command from his wolf pack in the books, is in the show. He is Luke's partner in the police force, so that's a really interesting relationship when episode 5 comes around, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Luke being a cop adds a couple of plot lines later on when a couple of the suspects he interviews in one of the earlier episodes gets found murdered, and he's the one who killed them, and he gets in trouble. It adds a couple of plot lines, but it doesn't change the story of Shadowhunters from the books that much. The way the show is being adapted is just it's taking the storyline. The first book is the Mortal Cup. It's finding the Mortal Cup. It's fighting Valentine. But there are aspects of the second book being brought in early on. Later books, like characters from later books coming in early, like Meliorn and Camille and Raphael. Actually, Raphael's in the first one, isn't he? He is. I was right. And then Maris and Robert and Max, if you saw last week, they're coming in. Maris comes in episode 5 and Robert comes in episode 6 with Max. So, oh God, I hate this camera. I'm not seeing that. So the way they're adapting it is you're not going to see the exact same events. It's not going to be chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. It just doesn't work like that. But they are staying a lot closer to the series, than shows like Vampire Diaries and Pretty Little Liars did. Shows like Vampire Diaries and Pretty Little Liars really just keep the skeleton of the story. Pretty Little Liars does better than Vampire Diaries, but Shadowhunters has such talented writers that they can change all these little details and it still be so similar to the book series you've read and fell in love with. And the characters are so similar. The characterization of almost every character from the book is exactly like the books in the show. So, you've got really talented writers. I don't think anybody has to worry about what's going on with the plot lines and the adaptation itself. So, trying to think of the next Downworlders concern. Okay, there is a character in the show named Dot. She's in the pilot episode. She comes in from the pilot episode, and then she kind of just disappears. I don't know what happens to her after that. Valentine tortures her. That's right. Oops, spoilers. He tortures her, and that's how he gets Magnus' name. That's right. She's based on Dorothea from the books, but she is not Dorothea. That's something you really need to make sure you get. For one, she's younger. She's Jocelyn's friend. She knows Magnus. She is actually a witch. She has power. That's how Magnus knows she dies. He says, "I don't feel her power anymore." So, Dot is a diehard friend. She gets tortured by Valentine for Jocelyn. She's the one who gets Clary through the portal. She's very much a friend in the show. She's such a close friend of Jocelyn's and of Clary's. Speaking of which, you guys know that the pendant Clary was wearing for, I don't know if she's still wearing it or not, but that Kat was wearing her on set, the little lavender stone pendant she was wearing, that is Dorothea's birthday gift to Clary from the pilot episode. It gives her the ability to see something. I don't know how it works, but you see in the earlier episodes that Clary touches it, and whatever she's thinking about, she can see. Like, she's thinking about going to meet Simon and Maureen, and she touches the necklace trying to take it off or something. And all of a sudden she's having a vision of Maureen and Simon walking down the street talking about something. So, that's going to be fun to play with. But Dot is definitely a different character in the show, and that's going to be very interesting for, I think, fans, because people have been saying that Dot is Dorothea. She's not. Her name comes from the same place. She's still Clary and Jocelyn's neighbor, but her character is so very different, and I think that's something everybody needs to prepare for. She's a very, very different character. Let's see, who's next? We'll talk about Raphael, because he comes in episode 2. Raphael, I don't know what he does in episode 2, because all of his sides are from episode 3. But, like I said, Raphael's really, really, dry sarcasm. He's working with Camille in the show, trying to get the Mortal Cup. I don't think he really cares about it as much as Camille does. He's very indifferent. He's a very neutral party in the show. Sorry, my sister's pointing at road signs. That was hilarious. So I'm sorry I keep moving the camera. I'm like in a car and really uncomfortable. Okay. So Raphael, I've already told you most of it. He has a couple of really funny lines in the show. He's got a very dry sense of humor, and I think him and Jace in the same room, I haven't seen any specific scenes, but I think him and Jace are going to have some really, really funny scenes together. The Shadowhunters and the Downworlders in the show, the alliance, the Accords are breaking apart in the show. That's something Maris mentions when she comes home, is that the Seelie court, she calls the fairies the Seelies in the show. So she says that the Seelies have left the Accords and cut off all communication with the Clave, and they won't say why. So, you know, Shadowhunter Downworlder relations are getting very, very tense in the show. Much like they were like about book 2, book 3, around City of Glass area. Well, you know, like later in the series that started happening too. It's just a little bit earlier in the show. But it's just like as soon as they find out the Mortal Cup's still in play, Valentine's still in play, the tension between Downworlders and Shadowhunters does get pretty bad. I think it's a lot of the same relations from the show. Maris, you know, still kind of looks down on him. I'll talk about Izzy and Melior in just one second. I'll talk about the anti-fairy thing. It's not that the fairy, that they're mad at the fairies or that they're trying to push them away and get them out of the clave or anything. It's that the Seelie court, for a reason they won't explain, has decided to stop taking part in the Accords. They've just cut off communication with the clave, and they won't explain why. And that's actually the episode, I think it's episode 5, 6, where Isabel, who's in a relationship with Meliorn, has this, her mom gives her the task of going back to the Seelie court and seeing if she can figure anything out. Oh my god, is that Alaska? Sorry, we're multitasking, and we have a license plate game going on. We finally just saw Alaska, which is weird. We're on the east coast of the United States. So Isabel and Meliorn have a very, very odd relationship, and we do see them. Like, we'll see them in the Seelie court in bed together. It's really weird. But she is with Meliorn. She's dating him at the beginning. But both of them are kind of very shallow and non-committal about it. Where he asks her questions about Clary and the Mortal Cup and doesn't even pretend to hide it. And she asks questions about why the Seelies have left the Clave, and he doesn't even try to hide it. But, Meliorn and Camille. Yeah, Sizzy, okay, I'll talk about Sizzy in a second. Meliorn and Camille is mentioned at some point. I think that's episode 5. Might be episode 6. Actually, I don't remember what episode it is. But she's talking to Meliorn, and she says something like, I heard you've been going to see Camille Belcourt. And he goes, where'd you hear that from? She goes, oh, so it's true. And she's assuming that it's got something to do with them actually being in a relationship, and she's kind of jealous. But also, I think, they don't actually explain what's going on. But I think it's, Meliorn and Camille are both after the Mortal Cup, and they're trying to work together to get it. So yeah, Meliorn and Camille are going to have scenes together in the show, and I don't think that ever happened in the book. So that's going to be a very, very interesting cross of people. That's going to be interesting when they meet each other. Simon and Isabel is set up in the earlier episodes, and I'll talk about this more week after next. But it's not a huge thing in the earlier episodes, because just like Sizzy does not actually come about really as a ship, as a, like, canon thing until book 3. So, I know that Isabel and the rest of the Shadowhunters in the show are aged up, which you can check out last week's for more about the Shadowhunters. I have no idea how old Raphael is in the show. It might say in the sides, but like I said, I'm working off my memory right now. So I don't know. I don't know that they've changed it. He's probably the same age he is in the books, which is not that old. I think he's only like 60-something years old, because I think he was turning the 50s. Oh yeah, Simon's like all over Isabel in the show. I mean, it's still Simon and Isabel from the beginning of the series, but they're not canonically like together at the beginning of the series, because Isabel is, I think Raphael was 16, because in the Bane Chronicles, Magnus or Ragnar Fell sees him, and he says, Magnus, we had a deal. You only date over 18. We had an age cutoff. So I think he was 16 when he got turned. Or 15. I think he turned 16.
It was 16.
And,
Or right before he turned 16.
yeah, I think it was like a couple days before he turned 16, if I remember the Bane Chronicles correctly. Okay. I was talking about Simon and Isabel, wasn't I? I'll talk about them a little bit more, because neither of them are really Downworlders, although this is such a clusterfuck right at this point.
Yeah.
I'll talk about Sizzy a little bit next week and the week after next, but really the dynamics is just like it is in the beginning of the book series. They're kind of, flirty, but just like in a passing manner, like in the beginning of the book series. It's a very similar dynamic to when it is when they first meet in the book series. I'm trying to think of what characters I haven't covered yet. That character. There is a character in the Seelie Court that I wanted to mention that's from the books. If you guys remember Kaylee, the girl from Tacky's, while Tacky's is in the show, she is, and she's she and Jace have a little thing in episode 5, and that was really weird reading. It was really weird. It was something like Clary had pissed him off doing something, and he was trying to get revenge on her by sleeping with this fairy girl, and I don't remember what the frig it actually was, but it was hilarious. But so she's in the show. I don't know how similar she is to the books. because I really only saw her in passing in the sides. But that was an interesting name I saw, and I was really happy to see that. Okay, so on to the new character. You guys are amazing. You guys are hilarious. I'll tell you later. On to the new character from Just the Show. So, the Chinese restaurant that you keep seeing, the Jade Wolf. The Jade Wolf is not Luke's pack. It's not his pack. It's a guy. It's a new guy named Theo who's terrifying. And apparently he's convinced Alaric to join his pack, though Luke doesn't know. He's spying on Luke for him. And this guy, he's a werewolf. He's an alpha, and he runs this place. And he gets Alaric to arrest Clary and Simon and bring them there, and threatens to kill Simon if Clary doesn't deliver the cup. So he's a very, very different character. And so by episode 5, you've already seen a vampire, a werewolf, and a Seelie after the Mortal Cup. So that was really interesting to me, and I mean, I'm sure that's exactly why they brought this character in, to show that all the Downworlders want the cup. I don't know about Warlocks because I can't remember if he was evil or not, so I'm not going to mention that, because I don't want to say something and then it'd be absolutely wrong. So this new character, there's not a lot about him. I haven't seen him a lot, but yeah, so there's just a little bit. Takis, as far as I can tell, Takis is not in the show. I don't know, did I say that wrong? Because it's not in the show from what I've seen. Java Jones is in the show. Java Jones is in the show, but from what I've seen, Takis is not. Because really it's just another set they'd have to build, and it's probably not worth it. It might be later, or it might just be in a part I haven't read yet. That is exactly what my sister said when she heard about Theo.
What?
She asked if Theo was on Teen Wolf because he's a bad guy and a werewolf. You guys are hilarious. But I don't know how old Theo is. He's a bit younger. I mean, he's a bit older than. I think he's about Alaric's and Luke's age. He's a bit younger than Luke. But I totally forgot the scene. Darn it. I forgot when I was talking about Luke. There's a scene in episode 6 which is what they just got finished filming. I don't know if Theo is hot because they cast him, but they didn't release his casting, so I have no idea who plays him. I have no idea what he looks like. There was a scene in episode 6 which they just finished filming, in which Luke saves Clary from something, and that's when he finally gets back on her good side. And he almost dies, which is really cool. If you guys saw the picture of Kat's hands with the fake blood all over him, that's why. It was Luke. But he's fine. Magnus saved him. That's so true. They cast the hottest people on the show. I'm sure we don't have to worry about that. Even the evil guys are hot. But episode 6 is a really cool episode with Luke because we get all the flashbacks. Like from chapter 19, I think it is, in City of Bones, Werewolf's Tale. Basically, the end of episode 6 is that entire chapter. Yeah, I know they cast young Hodge and young Luke, young Valentine and young Jocelyn, and it was so cool reading these flashbacks. I was like, yes, they are circle flashbacks. I don't know if they're doing the greenhouse scene. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the greenhouse scene any of the sides, but they could still film it. There are a lot of scenes. You guys have to think. There's a lot of scenes I haven't seen yet. I didn't see young Maris and young Robert. The thing is, that's funny, is that Maris and Roberts managed to hide it from Alec that there in the circle until episode 8. He finds out in episode 8 that they were part of the circle, and he's pissed. I don't know about the rest of the circle. I know there's old scenes with Valentine and Jocelyn. I'm 99% sure there was a baby Jonathan in one of the scenes. But they marked it out. They marked it out really well so you couldn't read it. And Hodge and Luke are the 4 that I saw auditioned. I don't know if they cast any others. And that's episode 6, so you guys have so much to look forward to in episode 6. It's so much fun. Episode 6 is the best. No, I don't know. There's so many good episodes. I love episode 6 because of all the flashbacks and Luke and everything. I love episode 8 because of Lydia Branwell. She's fantastic. I love her. I love her relationship with Alec. I love how badass she is. Episode 4 is great because it's a huge Magnus episode. Of course, the pilot's great. Episode 3 is hilarious because Simon gets kidnapped by vampires and drinks Camille's blood at one point after she's been drinking, and he gets drunk off of her blood, which is actually the funniest scene I read in any of the sides. You guys will get Malik. You don't even have to worry about that. There was a scene in episode 8 I know you can find on my blog that Alec trips over his words about him. There's a line in Alec and Isabel's sides, audition sides, about Isabel's teasing him. She goes, "Look, I don't care if you lie to me, just don't lie to yourself. Go call Magnus." And he goes, "What? I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You want the truth? Look, that tank top's 2 sizes too small for you." It's so adorable. Drunk Simon is the most hilarious thing ever. I'm trying to think if there's Downworlders I'm missing. I'm sure there's one I'm missing somewhere. But it's so much fun. I'm gonna have more for you guys next week, talking about a lot of the humans. There's a couple more new characters next week you guys get to find out about. I might just do a Periscope next week too, because this is so much fun. But I'll talk about some of this other stuff next time, because I don't want to talk about it too much tonight. Besides the fact that I'm like losing my voice and coughing all over the place for some reason. So I'll talk to you guys more about I'll talk to you guys more about Alec and Clary next week and the week after. And don't forget, I'm actually hoping to start doing this week. What I did with City of Heavenly Fire my fan fiction, when I took it and did, when I took like snippets from City of Heavenly Fire and wrote my own version, I'm basically about to start doing that with scripts from Shadowhunters, where I take scenes I've read from the scripts and write full episode scripts for you guys. It's screenwriting practice for me. You guys get to see some of the awesome stuff from the sides. It'll probably take me a few weeks to get the first couple done, but I really hope you guys like those. I'm really, really excited to get to start doing that, because it's screenwriting practice for me. And, you know, as a film student, screenwriting student, that's always great, getting practice writing basically fan scripts, because that's a lot of what screenwriters do. I'm not even kidding. And it'll help you guys see like everything I'm missing in between these different Shadowhunter spoiler Saturdays I'm doing. So you guys are great. Thanks for those of you who have stuck around. If you missed a part of this, I hope this recorded it. It should have recorded it. If not, I'm posting the full typed Shadowhunter spoiler tomorrow. It'll be Shadowhunter spoiler Sunday, but I'm really glad you guys stayed, and I'm glad you guys have all this information. Just don't try and take the one thing I'll say before I leave is, don't try and take any of this out of context. Don't get mad about any one thing and go bombard the Shadowhunters writers about it, because I know that happened when I mentioned the arranged marriage thing last week. And you know, it just because it's a change that you don't understand Just because it's changed, you don't understand, does not mean it's not a good thing. So just be patient, watch the episode, wait until the scripts or the bits are released into the public. Wait until you get a little bit more information. Okay, so that's it for all the spoilers. My Tumblr is TMI quote page. My sister's Shadowhunters page is Shadowhunter Chat.
SHDWHNTR chat.
It's also probably the way you had to get here, so it's probably the Twitter that I'm using for this Periscope, so there's that. There's my Twitter, which is best TMI quotes, and I'll try and post like a whole bunch of, yes, TMI quote page, you got it right, on Tumblr. And I'll try and post a whole like master post of all of our links. Mary Beth, what was it? Candy Pie 22 says bye. Say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Okay, you guys have been so great. This has been so much fun. I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier. This is just great. My voice is going hoarse now, so I'm gonna lose my voice in a second. But you guys have been great. I'll try and get that post up as soon as I can tomorrow. And I really hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Have a good night. God, I'm losing my mind right now. And I hope you guys watch Shadowhunters when it comes on ABC Family next year. So, bye. See you guys later. I love you all so much.